Well, it's Wednesday night. It's 9 o'clock, so you already know what that means. I mean, it means I can. It's
Slow down, slow down.
Next Swing podcast.
You're excited. You're so excited for tonight's show.
I'm always excited for the show. Every show I do, I get excited. It's like first day of school
That's right.
without trying to figure out who you're going to sit with at lunch if you don't know who's in your lunch. But with myself, my man, I'm pointing like you can. I'm pointing off camera, but my man, Sansa over here. And that's Dick Allen behind him, juggling baseballs with a cigarette in his mouth and in the dugout. So with
That's what
the
they did in the '70s, man. With
when baseball was
the sideburns
was
and
just cool. Baseball was just extra cool then. But welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast, guys, and thank you for joining us. We have a very special show planned for you today, where I call it the Coaches Series. I call it the Coaches Series. We got a couple coaches. I'm going to introduce them in just a minute. We got a couple coaches on that's going to talk about their journey, their philosophies, their beliefs in the game, what got them to the game, and all like that. And it's going to be an interesting conversation, all right? Because we're all baseball people, and that's what we do. But like I always like to start every show that I do, I start off like this. Miguel, how you been, man?
I am well, sir.
I know
Excited
you
about
are.
moves that are being made now and in the future.
Yeah, yeah. You got a big month
Yeah,
ahead of you.
man.
Big
You too, believe it or not.
yeah. And not only with all that, I'm getting phone calls from the high school like, yo, we're gonna you when do you want to start? Well, actually, I'm hitting them up like, look, I'm ready to start working with the guys. We had 2 years off. It's
Yeah,
time for us to do some things.
time to get
I'm
back
trying
to
to get
work.
the team back together. We got to start from scratch. You were around 2 years ago when the season got canceled the first time, and here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm so excited for today's show. We have a couple of coaches here from different walks of life that are here to talk about their experiences and what they've encountered in the game and some of the hurdles they've had to go through. And we're just going to be talking baseball. It's baseball guys talking baseball today. And without further ado, I want to welcome two guys in. Let me do this. So if you see them right there, if you can read, I know some of you can. We have Chase Miller and Travis Fitter, both coaches right now at Ascent Athlete. You can look that up because they don't sponsor the show, unfortunately. So I'm not going to put too much information out there. But they're both coaches at Ascent Athlete, and we are here to talk some baseball with them. And Miguel, I want to ask you before we get, because I know you put some things together, and to start the conversation. Do you want to talk to them first about the journey, or do you want to talk, break them in a fun way and put the who you gots out there?
Let's do the journey first. I think we can do the who you got towards the end because it may take a turn
Okay. All right.
positively and in a funny way, but we'll see how it goes.
All
Let's talk
right.
about the
Well,
journey.
as you can see, we have Coach Chase Miller and Coach Travis for that. Like I said, both from Ascent Athlete, both on their own journeys, have their own individual journeys. Um, Coach Chase, we'll start with you since you're on the left side of the screen, at least from my perspective. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now, and what got you into the game of baseball.
Yeah, so currently the director of player development over at Ascent Athlete. I've been doing that since July 1st, but have coached over there when it was known as Maple Zone Sports Institute, or MSI, as most people refer to it. I've been there for the last, I think, since the fall of 2019. I guess going back before that, was born and raised in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Played local Little League baseball around here at Eastside Little League. Played, different travel baseball, Legion baseball, things of that nature. Led into high school baseball. Long story short, was not very good at baseball myself. Was sort of a byproduct of the 30, 60-minute hitting fielding lesson with no real direction on strength training, no real direction on work ethic aside from showing up for my lessons and working hard to practice, things like that. But that led to me being pretty mediocre high school player that had all of 6 at bats my junior year, with talent being a huge reason. I was a 5'11", 155-pound soaking wet athlete that was not fast by any means. Had an okay arm as a catcher, but could not hit worth a lick, as aside from maybe just some inside out, jam shots over the second baseman's head, but could never hit extra base hits unless I got lucky type thing. But that led to no offers out of high school. I think I had typed up some emails that, every recruiting guy says you should do, and then blasted out a couple emails to local coaches. And that list came from suggestions of schools I should look at academically speaking from my parents. And the only school that emailed me back was Washington College. So drove down there, met with the coach, and basically explained to me that I wasn't good enough for a guaranteed roster spot, but I could try out, every season. And as a kid who sort of, knew he wasn't going pro, or never had anyone, beyond himself at 12 years old suggest that he could go pro, decided to pack it in. I ended up playing club baseball at James Madison University for 2 years. And that was I graduated high school in 2009, just for like an age reference. And after 2 years of playing club baseball, I transferred to Westchester University. So that was back in 2011. And that is when I started coaching high school baseball. Started at the freshman level at my alma mater where I went to high school, Westchester East High School. I went from freshman to JV baseball, then started coaching varsity ball as well. Was over there for 6 years or so, and then made the jump to Malvern Prep, where I've been the head JV coach there the last couple years. Get to work with a lot of great talent over there, and have coached the 2024 team that was at MSI, now it's Ascent. So I've watched those guys grow over the last years, and I've just really hung my hat there, just with the belief in their player development program, and just from sort of an understanding that, or just developing a lot of conviction in things that I didn't do or didn't even know about, like lifting and training, and following a consistent training program to help me, better myself and make improvements, and be bigger, stronger, faster, and hit the ball harder, more consistently, and do all these things. So when MSI rolled out that program, I decided to jump on board and went full time. I left my job in finance this summer when an opening, presented itself here, and have been in the building every day since. And I've gotten to team up with dudes to my left or right here. I guess it's this way. Travis Fitta, who is the hitting coordinator.
Pretty good.
But that's sort of where I'm at now. So just a kid who, took lessons and spent a lot of his parents' money on travel baseball and lessons and things like that, but did not, get any return on their investment, other than a kid who at least stayed in the game and continues to coach, and at least uses himself as an example of what you should not do, and do as I say, not as I did, sort of thing. And happy to look up my perfect game profile from 2009 to see a very mediocre, skinny, angry-looking kid who didn't throw very hard, didn't run fast at all. But happy to be here, man. Happy to just
couple questions for you, Westchester East questions for you.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm class of 99.
99.
Did you play under Breckenridge there? Breckenridge?
Dean Owens was my head coach.
Were you on the team that won the state championship?
I was not. So that team, I think that was 2002 or 2001 that won the state championship.
Oh, was it that? Okay.
That was like Ed Pappas. Ed Pappas was that head coach. There was guys like Chris McCafferty, like Billy Muldowney, Brian Muldowney. Like Billy Muldowney was the first, or like the most recent guy besides Adam Smith this past MLB draft to play professional baseball at Westchester High School.
You just made me feel old. I didn't realize that was that long ago. But
and Chase, what I'm gonna do? You tell a heartwarming story about your career. I'm gonna create you on the MLB The Show and start you off with an 82 rating.
I had a 2. I think my perfect game profile says I had a 2.18 pop time. I ran an 8.05.60 and threw 78 off the bump. So if you want to give me that, I'd bump that.
That'll bump you up to 83.
Oh,
I got you.
Maybe a 72. But
love it.
Yeah, man, that's me. And very happy to be here. Happy with the direction things are going. Like, jumped on board, as you can see the giant hole behind Travis, but we're going through renovations at the facility. And it has been there. It wasn't. I don't think there was ever a better time to join forces with these guys and just help change the culture of travel baseball around here, and help kids reach their goals, and with a platform that they aren't really offered anywhere else, and doesn't really give them, or isn't. We'll leave it at that. isn't offered anywhere else. So
Now, Coach Travis Fitter. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. What got you into the game, and where are you with it currently?
Yeah, so right now I am the hitting coordinator at Ascent Athlete, where you guys just where Chase works. Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty unique and unremarkable journey into the game of baseball. So I think like anybody, I played youth baseball, Little League, Babe Ruth. I played my freshman year of high school and then literally never played after that. And, I didn't have a ton of direction coming out of high school, didn't really care to play any games, baseball, college baseball, nothing like that. And, I ended up joining the Army, did 6 years in the Army, did a year deployment to Iraq in 2011.
Thank you.
I just appreciate it. I ended up getting hurt while I was serving, got medically retired in 2015, coming out of the military, not having a ton of direction and kind of an idea of where I wanted to go. Luckily, in El Paso, Texas, where I was stationed at the time, there was a local junior college having open tryouts. And my buddy who had just gotten out of the military with me was kind of like, screw it. Let's see what we got, see if we can do it. We both kind of like baseball. We like playing. We've been playing some local Sunday leagues, just trying to figure it out, see if we can get some college baseball time. And, luckily we were able to make it through tryouts, even though I can tell you right now, I probably should have had no business playing college baseball. I'll save you guys the trouble. If you look my name up in junior college, I'm 0 for 2 career with no hits. So I don't even have a single hit in college baseball, and that's okay. I can live with that. Got out of college baseball after a year, just, 25 years old. Playing college baseball is no good, especially when you haven't been playing your whole life, and injuries start to pile up, age starts to pile up. So I ended up moving back home. I'm originally from Rhode Island, and took the next 2 years, working odd job after odd job. I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods. I was a special needs school bus monitor. I did everything I could for $1 trying to figure out my next step. And it was about 2018, and I kind of stumbled into this facility in Exeter, Rhode Island. My nephew was playing on their AAU team, and I started doing some lessons, started taking over head coaching for a 13U team, and started falling in love with teaching the game of baseball, specifically hitting. Saw some really good results early on with those guys of just encouraging them to move fast, hit the ball hard, still learning the nuances of hitting, whether it be what you consider old school, new school, really blending the two. And just really at the end of the day was teaching these guys how to have fun, how to play the game right, how to do things the right way. And, it started to turn the engine of like, how far can I take this coaching thing? Never with the idea of, I want to get to professional baseball. I want to get to college baseball. I really just wanted to coach and see how far I could go with it. So 2018, I packed my entire life into my little Toyota Camry and drove all the way back to El Paso, Texas, where a guy that I know owned a facility called the Texas Pitching Institute. So like the name says, there was no hitting. I think I was a pitching instructor for probably 6 months before we got a hitting program off the ground, even in its infancy. So, I got a good opportunity to learn and grow and develop myself while also, impacting, youth and amateur baseball in the El Paso region. When I left El Paso, I ended up taking a job in Alabama at Next Level Academy, coaching their summer team, which is the Triton Rays. So I got to coach the Triton Rays throughout the summer circuit in 2019. And during that time, I had started a conversation with Rob Smith, who was the head coach of Ohio University. And, we just started spitballing ideas on player development, specifically hitting development, and how, we could take what they were doing at Ohio University, where they were fresh into technology, fresh into data, making an analytics team from the students on campus and really just using it to further the player development of Ohio University. And, after about 17 really, really long phone calls later, Rob said, hey, like, if you want to come up here and have no credit, no money, but you get an opportunity to work with Division I athletes every day, then, pack your car and get your ass up here. And so I drove my car all the way up to Athens, Ohio. And, it was just settling into that job. And I loved coaching college baseball so much. It's probably the most fun I've ever had in baseball was that group at Ohio University. And my biggest regret for probably the rest of my life is going to be never seeing that season full completely, only because 4 months into that job, Justin Stone, who's the director of hitting for the Chicago Cubs now, on Twitter pretty much hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to work for the Chicago Cubs? And at that point, making literally $0, you're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'll go for $4,000 at this point. But really, it was just an opportunity to get in an organization who is very well respected, but also be around some of the best hitting minds in the world. And, you know, I took that opportunity in October, what was it, 2019? Yeah, October 2019. And I got the COVID year of professional baseball, but I can tell you in the total time that I was with the organization and around those guys, I learned so much about hitting, and I'm forever grateful to guys like Justin Stone, Stephen Polakov, Dan Puente, Rachel Folden, just good people who taught me more about being a coach, more about being a leader, more about being a person than I could ever repay. And, you know, going into what I do now as the hitting coordinator at Ascent Athlete, when I joined when it was still Maple Zone Sports Institute, and we just kind of transitioned into the new business. And, you know, it's an exciting time to be a part of what we're doing. I think we're taking leaps forward in what we're doing for player development. We're bringing in, you know, great technology like hit tracks, 40 motion, blast, get super speed sluggers, axe bats, plyos, all the little, you know, bells and whistles of new age hitting development, if you would call it. But really just the awesome thing that we do here is we take data, technology, analytics, and we pair it with traditional player development techniques, beliefs, and we really are just trying to create individualized programming for all of our athletes. We're trying to push the needle forward on player development, getting our guys as educated as possible, as good as we can get them, as good as they want to get to. And really at the end of the day, it's about putting kids in good situations, whether it be professional baseball, college baseball, showing well at these showcases that we go to. I head coach the 2023 team here, and it's, you know, it really is an honor to just be around great people, great staff, but more importantly, the kids we have in the building are just such great kids, and they're great people to be around, and they show up every day. They put their hard hats on. And, you know, Chase and I have to get on guys every single day to try to push the needle even further with some of these guys who have maybe never been exposed to the type of environments that we create. But we see growth, we see progress daily. I mean, it's the race is never done. We're constantly trying to push the envelope forward. And, you know, I'm blessed to be in the position I am now. I'm blessed to head a department that I believe in, and I'm blessed to have people like Chase and, you know, a couple other guys in the building that are just going to help continue pushing player development forward. So I don't think I went over 10 minutes for that, but
no, it's all good. It's all good. One thing I'm going to go ahead and be an open book, right? And I don't know how many people out there of our viewers know it. I know every team I've coached knows this. But you guys talked about your careers, and Chase, you talked about, you know, you're coming up through high school and how the type of player you were. Trav, you talked about, you know, what you did in college. I call it my first legit start in college. First inning, or at least the first ball that got hit to me, Miguel knows this story. He's heard it every year. I'm playing second base. I love second base. Playing second base, I go down to field the ball. We're at Norfolk State University, Marty L. Miller Stadium. I go down to field the ball, come up, ball wasn't in my glove, went right through my legs. Right, my first legit start in college. And then the next inning, I said, okay, ball gets hit to me again. I was like, I'm not letting this happen again. I get down on the ball. Basically, same thing happened again. I'm not even going to bore you with the whole story. The same thing happened to me the same thing happened to me twice in one game. Needless to say, it was a doubleheader. I didn't play in the next game. Actually, I didn't see the field again for a while. So, you know, those things happen. My wife's over here laughing at me about it.
I still find it funny.
I find it funny because I tell guys that because, you know, mistakes happen in the game. Nobody's perfect in this game. This game has a statistic called an error. Okay. And, you know, and that's why it's there, because these things happen. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. I was at a Phillies game a couple weeks ago, and there's a guy behind us. You know how guys get there and they start talking to their girlfriend, acting like they know everything. And this guy knew nothing about baseball, right? So, you know, it has RHE, runs, hits, and errors, right? So she asked him, what do these things mean? So he told him about the runs, the score. He told him about the hits. And for the E, he said, yeah, that stands for effort. Efforts. That's what he said. He said efforts. Listen, when I heard that, man, I was.
I mean, in theory, if you're playing good baseball and you only have 0 on the E column, you have 0 effort.
No effort. No effort whatsoever. Especially in
Wow.
professional game, it's common to have zero effort. One question that we ask all the coaches that come, we have coaches from every sport on the show. What are some of the challenges that you've faced in your coaching career? Whether it be with an athlete, a parent, even administration, whatever the case may be. What are some of the challenges that you faced? I'll start with you, Chase.
I think time, honestly, like just with how busy parents are today, how busy kids are today, with all the activities in school and trying to and then I guess you couple that with I have ridiculous expectations of these kids, and almost like rightly so, where I've just anecdotally or through research have just there's enough stories out there, evidence out there of like a success leaves clues mentality. It takes what it takes, and people before you have done X, Y, and Z and worked, consistently being the key word, 5 or 6 days a week and followed a program. And just to do that and expect that of the average, middle school or high schooler is tough. And managing time and having expectations, or like setting my expectations appropriately, I guess, has been one of the bigger challenges. And then helping athletes find time for training and helping them prioritize what should be important in their day. So I think that's been one of the bigger challenges, is just like the mix of time being a finite constraint, essentially, being able to fit everything I think will lead them to a successful baseball career, help them develop, while managing them still being a high school or middle school kid and not necessarily living the life like a big leaguer.
Coach Travis, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's for me anyway. I know there's a lot, and I would probably say the number one thing I've encountered over multiple stops in baseball, whether it be professional, the facility, college, youth, I think it's communication. I think especially on the part of coaches to parents, parents to coaches, coaches to athletes, and more importantly, athletes to coaches. And I think from early on, we say things and we just expect that kids are going to understand this is what we mean. And we never really reflect that the words or the verbiage that we use. So I think in turn, like Chase is kind of like, he's seen this, at least for the last couple of weeks with me. It's almost like what I don't say to a guy is almost like the best medicine. Because sometimes like when you learn so much about the game, when you learn so much, especially about a specific skill like hitting, I'm full of information and my brain is constantly going that I almost have to like shut myself up or simplify it to a point where it doesn't even make sense to me, but to an athlete, that's everything. So it's not only just choosing the words I'm going to use, but also just like how I'm going to use the information to empower an athlete, because I think a lot of the confusion too, especially with like data and technology, and I don't know if this is a legit argument anymore, and people say like, oh, it's too much information, you'll overload an athlete. It's like what Chase was saying, like success leaves clues, it leaves data, it leaves analytics, it leaves analysis of how to do things. And we have to be super direct and super concise with athletes in particular about what we want them to accomplish. So I think it's something like what we're working on now for our guys is like KPIs, or just things that you want to judge and evaluate your talent off of. You have to be very clear with what you want them to accomplish. And we see it daily with guys and their parents, guys and their other private coaches, the high school coaches, college coaches, where sometimes we're on the same page as coaches of what we want to accomplish with a player, but it wasn't clear from one direction. Sometimes it hasn't been clear with what we wanted. And, the fortunate part about us, especially with, Chase being in the hitting department with me, is we constantly sit down and we're talking about like, okay, how can we make this better? How can we have better communication with athletes? It's to the point now where like, I would love to take, the program Otter and just literally hit record every time we have a conversation with an athlete and be able to go back and see like, are we using the right words? Are we using the right, the language? Are we using the data and the technology correctly enough to get what we want for this player? And it's ever evolving. It's things that, even I have to look in the mirror in myself and be like, did I do a good job communicating today? Because at the end of the day, like I'm in charge of a department, but nobody's grading or evaluating or judging what I do. I have to be able to do that myself. I have to lean on Chase and be like, Chase, do you think what I said to this guy was maybe too much? And, luckily we haven't had a ton of those times, but I also have zero issues with Chase ever pulling me in an office and being like, dude, what are you talking about? Because at the end of the day, someone has to oversee what I do, which is why, especially Chase's role being the director of player development, it's such a crucial thing to have, because at any point I could just run wild with some of the things that I want to do in hitting, but I need somebody at least to be able to either you'll never have to push me forward to get better at something, but you'll always have to rein me back from maybe doing too much. So I think when you pair yourself with really great like-minded people who also have the players' interest at the forefront of everything we do, it's really good at just, long story short, just communication, just being a better communicator daily. I think as people, a lot of good things happen when we talk, which is why I love podcasts, because it's the sharing of information. But really, it's just, if I could literally talk to you in a different language right now about hitting, and would that do anybody any help if you just didn't understand what I was saying? Right. So I think it's just being very clear about what you want and what you want to accomplish. And then, like I tell athletes all the time, it's not you working for me, it's me working for you. How do we get there together? Because your success is our success. And when you fail, it's not your fault, it's my fault. I'll wear that every day of the week.
Absolutely. And Miguel, I want you to step in real quick, but I do want to tell a real. I got a story for everything.
Yeah, story for everything.
Everything. So, Travis, you talked about the communication and getting your message across to the athlete. I can remember it being in 8th grade, and I was going to my first wrestling tournament, right? And I'm actually one of the higher seeds in this tournament somehow, and I. Don't laugh.
I'm just surprised you wrestled. I'm sorry.
No, but here's the thing. I was actually good, but here's what messed me up. On the way to the tournament, it was at Chichester High School, Chichester, whatever. The coach says to me, to everybody, basically, long story short, he says, don't get yourself all amped up, because you'll psych yourself out, right? And mind you, I have my with headphones on, listening to music. I'm getting ready, right? I'm ready to whoop up on somebody. And then he tells this story about how he was wrestling. I think it was Randy Whitman, a guy that ended up being a tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, and he got so amped up that he psyched himself out and he lost. So I'm like, all right, well, I better not do what I'm doing. I went into every match almost the entire season. Okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Just to not, and I got my behind kicked every match until one day I was like, I'm just going to amp myself up. And then I beat this dude 15-0, which I guess is mercy roll in wrestling, because it was over. I wanted to pin him, but whatever. But yeah, it was. But that story just hit home, because I kind of over explain stuff just to make sure I'm not giving the wrong message, because I know how it affected my wrestling career. I could be in the WWE right now. Who knows? Not UFC, because I don't want to get hit for real. But Miguel, I'm gonna let you have the floor, because I can take up a lot of time.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I was thinking about because Travis, your experience with the Cubs, and what was it, a year or two ago, Theo Epstein had stepped down, and even took some blame for he believed that analytics took away some of the aesthetic value away from the game. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's the battle between old school and new school. You know what I mean? I battle it sometimes as well, but I've become more of a believer of it, especially with the work that you guys have done, especially the way you guys explain it. But do you think that it's taken away some of the aesthetic value of the game? I think, for me, seeing 5 home runs in the game and seeing teams still lose kind of ruins it for me, but just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, I think it's we could go down 1,000 different areas with it. And I think one of the best stories I can tell is, obviously being new to the Philadelphia area and not knowing how Philly sports fans are, and listening to talk radio in the morning on the way into work.
Welcome.
So all I hear is the Phillies issues being blamed on analytics and data and the overusage of it. And I think sometimes I get mad in the car, because I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? If you knew anything about how we use data and analytics, you would honestly think twice about what you're talking about. But at the same point, I think what happened now is we got all this great technology, we got all this great data, and all we wanted to do was use it so much to empower players that we started living in worlds of absolutes where you have to hit the ball 400 feet and it has to be a home run, and strikeouts don't matter. It's the same thing as a regular out. And there's so many different avenues you can go down. And really at the end of the day, it's like anytime you break into something new, and analytics is not new into life, it's not new into sports, like the way that your brain works, like it has to see something 1,000 times and all of a sudden it builds a database of like, okay, if I'm going to jump over this puddle, like, do I stop and think about how to jump over the puddle or do I just do it? But it's based on, I've jumped over puddles my whole life. I know what it takes to jump over it. So I've built a database of like how to do something. Analytics is the same way. It's just collecting numbers and letting you know, like, hey, this is what your strengths are. This is what your weaknesses are. This is the direction that I think we need to go to get better at stuff. Anytime you bring something new, but then you jump into it 100%, I think we overdid it as a profession. And really at the end of the day, not to call anybody out, but there are certain coaches who have used data and technology to kind of hide from a lot of the stuff that they do for player development and just say, oh, well, according to the numbers, you're no good. But it's like, how do you go forward with the numbers that are no good? Because if he's doing that in your own building, that's more representation of what you're doing and how you're going about it with an athlete than it is for what a player does. So there's got to be a blend. I think one of the beautiful things is I understand hitting. I understand mechanics. I think any good hitting guy starts off as being a swing coach before you're a hitting coach. You understand every aspect of the swing. You understand mechanics, which is why we go through this phase on Twitter where everybody knew the secret sauce to how to cure hitters, and it was all mechanical. And great, we built some really beautiful swings, but then guys got into games, and most guys just can't hit because at the end of the day, of course, mechanics are important, but at the end of the day, like, guys can ball and some guys can't ball, and it's just kind of how the spectrum works. So for the blessed few that are going to play this game at a very high level, I think when you're using analytics correctly, you're using the data correctly, you're using it to empower people and players and not hold them hostage to certain things, I think you can see some beautiful results out of it. But I mean, when Theo stepped down, like, he took a lot of blame. I remember that conversation, and he said maybe we went too far forward with it. Maybe we've used it too much. And I mean, you can see it now. Like, guys didn't like God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Who's the manager for the Giants? Kapler.
Oh, Kapler.
Guys blamed Kapler in Philly. I don't know how you guys feel about Kapler, but Kapler took that same philosophy out to San Francisco, and they have the best record in baseball, and they're doing some really great things. And I don't think it's as much of the analytics and the data as it is look at his staff. Kai Correa, Donnie Ecker, Alyssa Knack, and so many other great people who are just great at coaching athletes, great at building relationships, and great at getting players to buy into certain things. And at the end of the day, if you can get players to buy into it, whether it's old school, new school, analytics, swing down, whatever it is that you get, it's more about empowering people, and it's more about what I said, which is the communication and the conversations.
Chase, how about you?
You make me follow that up, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. You speak so eloquently. Absolutely.
I think the answer is somewhere in the middle, right? Or like a balance. Because I think someone who is, pro aesthetics or pro old school is missing out on some awesome information that paints a clear picture for people. And people who are pro, data and analytics are missing out on, a ton of value that comes or that is like propelled the game to where it was or is today, right? And but I think it's how you use it, and like Travis said, like empowering athletes, like that just makes it's just a tool in the tool belt. But it's a slippery slope, like where guys can chase rabbit holes or numbers or things like that don't necessarily translate to the game, or misinterpret data to some extent, and it's been hit or miss. Like the hitting community, I think, has really like matured or adapted and gone down different avenues in the last 5 to 8 to 10 years. But what we do at the facility, just to like use it as, and I guess the best way for me, like I went from being a coach that would throw BP in a cage all winter, and a guy would hit a ball and it would sound loud, and it was sort of on a line drive trajectory, and I think that was good. Like, let's wait and see next year. Or like, I think that was louder, or that looked a little bit better than the guy next to you, and you're a little bit bigger and stronger. Like, that's just all subjective stuff. Right. And it really helped. And even going back to like what Travis said about with like our key performance indicators, like just being able to provide objective data and complement that, or like use that in addition to what you see with your eyes and what other coaches, have to offer and in value. I think that's the best of both worlds, and folks that can, bottle that and use it to empower athletes, like you said, and help guys develop and give them what they need, right? Because some guys might want to hear it, and some guys can go all on feel, and some guys want to trust the numbers and stuff like that. And that's where like the art of coaching comes into it, and getting to know your athletes, and where communication is such an important thing, and knowing who needs to hear what and who needs what when, and this and that, and having, I think it's more of a coach's job to know everything we can about the athlete and the batted ball and all this stuff, so that when they're ready and if they need help at all, we can leave no stone unturned, so to speak, and really go down any avenue we need to, just to help dive into stuff. And like the data, it's like I think Greg Rose from On Base U and TPI talks about like having a scalpel instead of a saw, and like we can really fine tune things specifically because of what we know and what we can't see with the naked eye, as opposed to just having some video and having somebody observe some swings and this and that. So I think it's best of both, and guys who are doing that are seeing some great results, like the Giants, as suggested.
I think just to jump in, I mean, if anybody who knows Andy Haynes, if you don't, he's the major league hitting coach for the Milwaukee Brewers. And, I got the honor of seeing Andy present at Maley's hitting clinic in 2019. And I'll never forget, he said, don't quote me on this, but basically what he said was like, you're going to have an opportunity one day to have a conversation with an athlete, whether it be professional baseball, youth baseball, college guy, doesn't matter, right? Could happen 30 seconds into knowing him. It could happen 2.5 years later, but he's going to finally turn around and he's going to go, what do you have? What do you got for me? And you have 30 seconds to make an impact on that player, on why he should listen to you, why he should consult you, why he should take your advice, anything, why he should build a relationship with you. And if your answer is, I don't know, take 5 more swings, let me see, you're not paying attention. So really at the end of the day, especially for what we do in the cage with having the technology, the analytics, we're building our own answers. So when a player finally turns around and goes, what do you have? It's not just what my eyes are telling me, because my eyes are very smart, but they miss a lot of fine details. But I can go back and look at every single swing you ever took on Hit Tracks, on Blast, on 4D, and I can tell you pretty much who you are as a hitter based off what I've seen, whether that be 30 seconds into it or 4 years later when you ask me. So at the end of the day, it's not only empowering players, but it's empowering coaches. And what you choose to do with that information is ultimately the judge of kind of what you do for player development, because we've gone down some wrong avenues with guys. But I think at the end of the day, when you start to go down that wrong avenue, the data really is there to tell me like, yeah, no, we're going the wrong way. That's on me. Let's get back to the drawing board and figure out how to get out of it. I no longer, how, like Chase said, like being in a cage without technology, you're just hoping that nothing falls off 6 months later when he goes into season, because you really have nothing to fall back on other than what your eyes and what your ears heard, all subjective. Now we can find out we're going down the wrong path pretty much right away and just be like, okay, whoop, turn it around. We got to go the other way again. Let Chase and I get back in a room and re-talk about how we're going to go. But at the end of the day, we bring the athletes into that conversation. It's more of a, hey, this is where we can go. You want to go left, you want to go right. And athletes always make the right choices because they're always trying to get better. But at the end of the day, we have enough information and enough answers available right then and there that we can give you kind of what we think you should do. And it's not just based off, hey, in my opinion, hey, what I've seen with this guy. It's like, no, this information is yours. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. Your data is your data. So at the end of the day, like, you be the driver of the car, man. I'll take you where you need to go. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to jump in and be like, I want to face the 70-mile-an-hour machine. I want the disgusting slider from 25 feet away. Like, I want to do all these things because I know in the end it's going to pay off. And I don't have to leave it on the table anymore of like, oh, well, I got screwed. I didn't this, I didn't that. It's like, I want players who are like, yo, I did everything possible to get myself as good as possible. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I think Phillies fans kind of point to like Scott Kingery and like, Reese Hoskins when he was in his slump. Because now, when Kingery started up, he was a promising player. They gave him a big contract. Now he can't even, swing in AAA. So I think that's probably where that angst towards analytics come from. Plus, Gabe didn't do himself any favors with the coconut oil comments. So I don't think that was a nice little introduction to Philadelphia that we expected.
Yeah, I think people are going to blame what they want to blame. And at the end of the day, I think the bigger issue is there are certain teams or certain organizations who probably let the front, I don't want to say the front office because I'm not going to point fingers at who it is. I don't even want to speak out of turn like that. But there are people who let influence happen that probably shouldn't happen. At the end of the day, like if you have a manager, like his job is to manage the game and you can empower him with all the information. But at the end of the day, if Joe Girardi goes, nope, I want to do this because that's what my gut says, then like, bro, that's what you're paid for. You're paid to make the big decisions. So let the guy make a decision. But if that's truly the case and guys are being, jumped over and they're said, this is how you're going to manage a game, then yes, that's where the fault is in an organization is not letting your manager make an impact with what he knows. And especially with Joe Girardi, the dude has a binder the size of 14 textbooks. Like the dude has been around some baseball, like he coached the Yankees, he coached them to a World Series. Like the guy knows what he's doing. There are certain organizations that probably jump the trigger and control a lot of the stuff. But at the end of the day, like the Rays are a perfect example. Like, yes, did they make a mistake taking Snell out? Probably. But based off their analytics, third time around in a roster or a batting order, you get hit. So he wanted to go to the bullpen. The unfortunate part is the bullpen in that World Series had already been out a bunch of times. So you were screwed if you went left. You were screwed if you went right. You just try to make the best decision available on hand. And, like, I think that's the best one is Kevin Cash kind of wears it and says, look, that's my decision. Like, we messed up. It's on me. Like, get after it next time.
He was throwing a shutout. Okay, got it. He was throwing a shutout.
So, guys, as you know, I mean, you guys are giving us some great insight on a lot of different things, and we appreciate you guys for being on. As we were talking beforehand, we started a new segment last week. It's for fun. It's all about fun. It's all about opinions and how you feel about certain things. I don't know what Miguel put together for this week, but I think he might want some of your opinions from last week too, from the way he was reacting for what I was saying.
Absolutely.
Miguel, what you got this week for the who you got?
All right, so I'm gonna start off with a couple that we started last week. So basically, I come up with a premise and I'll post something up, and you guys tell me who you got and why. All right. So the first one we started off with last week, and can you do the honors, Mr. Justin? Game 7 of the World Series. Who is your leadoff hitter and why? Ricky Henderson or Ichiro? Let's go with Chase.
We'll start with Chase. Yeah.
Let's start with Chase.
I gotta go Ricky because Ricky probably told me to put Ricky.
Yes, because he speaks in the third person. Absolutely.
How about you, Trav?
I'm going Ichiro.
And
not just to be different, but also to be different. I'm going Ichiro. I'll take 4,000 hits no matter what league it's in.
Exactly.
So,
Miguel,
don't change your answer.
No, I'm not changing my answer. But I did say that last week. You know, I'm privy to the lefty.
Yeah, the lefty Juan Pierre's.
Even though I still selected Ricky. And for like a lot of reasons why Trav said he picked Ricky, but I mean not Trav. Chase said he picked Ricky, but I'm looking for my somebody DM'd me after or during last week's show. I'm trying to see if I can find the
I liked Ricky for the simple fact that he can either walk, he can hit a home run, and if you put him on base, he'll still see. I think a few more intangibles, like you can get the instant run off the board. With Ichiro, you got to do a little bit more work, but
Well, I had a guy DM me on Instagram. He said he went with Ichiro as his leadoff over 6,000 hits in the MLB and Japan. Awesome defense and speed. Not as fast as Ricky, but he has speed and he's clutch.
And Ichiro has an advantage because he was better defensively too. That arm was amazing.
That play that Ichiro made when he he faked. Like he was about to carry whatever he did, and the ball bounced off he let the ball bounce off the wall, and he threw the guy out at third base. You just don't see that. You just don't see that happen. That was an amazing play by Ichiro.
So do you consider him to have the most hits in the history of baseball over Pete Rose? Because Pete Rose thinks he doesn't count anything that happened in Japan.
Yeah, professional baseball, no matter where it is, 6,000 hits. Yeah.
He's the hit king. Got it.
I mean, I got 6,000 hits in Road to the Show, so I mean, I am actually the hit king. But
I struggle in.
If Ricky gets on base, that sets the tone.
Yes.
For the game.
And one thing I was telling Justin, he was on the Toronto Blue Jays in '93, and I believe when Mitch Williams walked him, that set the stage up for Joe Carter. because he did that stupid slide step that he did in the NLCS that didn't work. And it said, I'm not bitter, but I still have that memory ingrained. I said, don't walk Ricky Henderson, and he walked him on 4 pitches. I'm not pissed off about that.
I'm glad I fell asleep before that home run happened.
You weren't a real baseball fan.
I was just a kid that couldn't stay up.
Liar.
I woke up and everybody was celebrating. I know.
Liar. All right, next one. Game 7 of the World Series. It is bases loaded. 3-2. Who you got?
Oh, God.
Who do you want to pinch hit? Barry Bonds or Reggie Jackson? Travis, we'll start with you.
I think if you're pinch hitting any of these guys, you messed up already.
True. Very true.
That's a good point.
Give me Barry.
Or you could have a stacked lineup where you pitch hitting for the pitcher, you know.
I mean, facts, but still. Give me Barry. Barry's a Hall of Famer. Stamped.
Chase?
Barry's one of the top 3 hitters ever.
So my argument on this show.
I'm trying to change their mind.
I'm not changing my mind.
Mute him.
I always pick up with Reggie Jackson. He's Mr. October. Every home run you've ever seen, every highlight, I'd say 98% of the highlights of him hitting a home run was either in the playoff or in the World Series, everything like that. Barry Bonds, love him to death. I think he's a Hall of Famer, big head, small head, whatever. But he wasn't clutch in the playoffs, except for the World Series against the Angels. Yeah. All the other playoffs, he just wasn't clutch. So I'm just thinking that clutch moment, I just got to go Reggie because he lived for that spotlight. He lived for that moment. And case in point, the highlight that you see on the right is him hitting a home run in a regular season game. Reggie Jackson, Game 6 of the World Series. So
it sounds like sabotage to me. You purposely did that.
Couldn't find a picture of Barry Bonds hitting a home run in the playoffs. That's weird.
Yeah. You know what? Touche.
One of my arguments was that outside of the obvious stuff, Barry Bonds would get intentionally walked with the bases loaded sometimes.
This is true.
Somebody that's that dangerous, I got to put him in the lineup.
Yeah, and I got to submit to that because I think Reggie Jackson is like the top 2 in strikeouts of all time. So that doesn't help my case at all.
I just literally pull up the Barry Bonds, Eric Gagne battle.
Yeah.
Pull up Barry Bonds stats, and that's
fun. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Screw you both.
He's not mad at all right now.
I'm not bitter at all. No, I'm bitter about 93, but not about this.
Ooh.
All right. Steroid area matchup. Who you got? Mark McGwire or Roger Clemens? Who wins this battle?
Is this a fist fight or is this a...
No.
I was wondering that too.
I forgot about that.
Clemens is throwing against Bonds. I mean, McGwire.
Mark McGwire. Yes, correct.
Oh, so this is who we got?
Yeah, who you got in a one-on-one battle, righty versus righty. This is a righty in the steroid era.
I think I'm going with Clemens.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Clemens.
Just because the pitcher always has the advantage.
Like Clemens, that splitter.
I'm thinking heyday of the steroid era. I think McGwire. I don't think it mattered who he faced.
I'm gonna hate myself for this because
because you're a hitting. Oh,
but I think it's like I grew up in the steroid era, so for me, it's like I wrote a 14-page paper in college about like how steroids saved the game of baseball. So completely on the path of like loving that era and loving the hitters. But I also remember Roger Clemens at this time, and it's a dude you did not want to face, and he also would throw a bat at you. So I'm going Clemens.
I feel like you have to go with the pitcher here because most of the time the pitcher has the advantage.
Yeah, you're playing the odds.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to play the odds there, and not because I felt like Clemens was dominant. Not because I feel like he's dominant. Just because if you had put almost any pitcher there, I probably pick the pitcher just because you can get him to chase.
Right. But this matchup here, I got you.
But this matchup here, I'm definitely taking Clemens.
All right. How about lefty versus lefty? Randy Johnson versus Barry Bonds. Who you got? Well, you're squirming. You're squirming there, Chase.
Squirming.
With that picture of Johnson.
I don't know, all right, so like Johnson first. I think of the Kruk clip, right?
Yes.
Like how uncomfortable that would be for lefty. But I also think Bonds is a psycho. Bonds would probably have hired a lefty with the same release point, same height, or mimic something to get his BP pitcher to throw to him prior to this at bat. So seeing Randy Johnson wouldn't have been all that much. I'm trying to think back to like MVP baseball 2005.
Great game. Great game.
And John Dowd was Barry Bonds type thing. Damn, I don't know. I guess.
You want me to take some pressure off your plate?
Yeah, go. Sure, I'm still mulling it over, so go ahead.
All right, go ahead. I cheated.
I knew you were going to do that.
That fast?
I'm going to use some data and analytics.
There you go, baby.
Okay.
Barry Bonds against Randy Johnson has an 864 slugging, a 581 on base percentage, and a 409 batting average with
How many?
7 walks, 8 RBIs, and 3 home runs.
So Barry gets the odds, huh?
Yeah.
Barry.
Yo.
So you got to see the stats for McGuire versus Clemens.
No, don't pull those.
No, that one's can't do that.
Don't pull those.
Y'all, no.
That's
You guys,
ridiculous. I wouldn't have expected that line.
No, not at all.
so I'm going to take Barry Bonds.
That goes
he
against
cheated.
like everything I said in the last matchup.
Yeah, there
Hey,
you
I'm
go.
gonna let it empower me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on MLB Film Room tonight, googling or like trying to search for Randy Johnson, Barry Bonds ABs to see what those look like. Because that had
Here's the
was
only reason I would have picked Barry Bonds is because I feel like Randy Johnson throws a ball that's perfect for Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
With
his
not
short
gonna blow
swing,
one
yeah.
past him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has the short swing. Only thing I could think, I don't remember. Did Randy have a slide? I don't remember.
Yeah, he had a slider. That's what he threw to Kruk to strike
Yeah.
him out. To strike him out. Devastating slider to lefty.
But then the thing is, like, Barry Bonds swung like a 26-inch bat.
Right.
Very small
Like,
bat. He was
that
on
thing
top of
breaks
the
out.
plate.
Out of the plate.
That thing breaks out 17 inches. All of a sudden, you're like, there's no more bat left for me to go get this thing.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Hey,
That's
I wanna
also
take
saying
Randy.
that Randy Johnson doesn't kill a bird on the way to home plate.
On
baseball
instantly,
video
it just
ever.
disintegrated.
Best baseball video ever.
Yeah.
Randy
Yes.
Johnson
that was a
killing that
fun
bird.
fact. Good. Thanks for looking that up.
So Travis got Bonds. Chase had Randy Johnson, but changed the Bonds.
I was definitely leaning Johnson, and the stat line swayed me hard to Bonds.
Yeah, really. Damn.
So-
Hey, but
so-
just go ahead. Give me your answer. I got it just for reference, though.
no, I was actually going to do Bonds. I was thinking Bonds too.
I don't
Just because for more so because of Justin's point, because Johnson's like his pitching form,
His trajectory.
it was his trajectory, the way he released, it was just perfect for Bonds and his short bat and short swing, everything, you know.
Let's put it this way: if Randy threw anything in his own, Bonds is taking it out.
Right.
I can
Right,
see
he-
that like
he's doing
lefty, the same way like a lefty just looks better walking out of the box on a home run type thing.
Right.
If he caught something inside, he could just turn on it, bam.
And Travis, you said 7 walks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that and even post steroids, he always had a great eye at the plate. He was always, you know.
So it's like you have against Randy Johnson an average of 409. But then so teammates, Kurt Schilling, Bonds against Schilling is batting, where is it? I don't want to speak of facts. 182.
Get the hell out of here.
And then against Greg Maddux, he's bingo numbers 056.
Wow.
Ooh,
That's surprising.
that's amazing.
But what's that thing?
How many at bats for those guys? I guess.
For Randy Johnson, it's 22. Schilling, it's 22. Maddux, 18.
Wow.
Hmm.
That 26-inch bat with that Maddox two-seamer just ball disappeared.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a stat out there, and this has nothing to do with either one of these guys. But
Tony
there's a stat out
Tony
there.
Gwynn.
That's Tony Gwynn stat, and I forgot it's like against Maddox, like some of the best pitchers of the era of when he played. His batting average against those guys was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I wish I had the stat because I just bought it up. I wish I had the stat.
Here it is. I got you. It's Tony Gwynn faced Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, and Greg Maddux a total of 323 times, and he struck out a total of 3 times.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
That's a freaking hitter for you.
Yeah.
That is
That's like
crazy.
my top 3. That's like Tony Gwynn, and in no particular order, like Tony Gwynn, Ted Williams, Barry Bonds. Like those two mashed.
Hey, how could you find an order to put that in? Those are
So
great-
so
those are
there's
great
a really relevant question for the hitting guys. What's your Mount Rushmore of hitters?
Didn't we start up? No, we didn't do the Mount. We did Mount Rushmore of something else.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore of hitters.
So do you take steroids out of the equation or that whole era? Because that's always the debate.
Well, steroids doesn't help your hand.
Yeah,
I agree. I
here's
agree. It does not help a hand down. Because there were people in the steroid area that still couldn't hit a shit.
Ooh.
I know.
Yeah, you messed it up. You done messed
You
it
gotta
up.
delete that.
Well, we only got a few minutes left, so I'll try to throw out a real quick, without really thinking about it, of my of hitters. So I'll probably go with Ted Williams, Pete Rose, Ichiro, and Tony Gwynn.
I would add Hank Aaron to those three I just listed. Tony Gwynn, Ted Williams, Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds.
Miguel?
I would add Roberto Clemente for the Latino people. Thank you very much.
Pressure.
Here we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, what you got, Trav?
Oh my God.
All right,
Wait
so
a minute. Whoa.
fictitious lefty versus lefty.
Whoa.
Bobby DiDonato with hair versus Nick Todaro. Who you got?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Before the end,
Is Bobby lefty?
where did this
Yeah,
come from?
that's Bobby.
Yeah, he is lefty. Yeah. Wow. This is a
Bobby gives me
curveball.
weird Ryan from The Office vibes.
I don't know. I feel like Bobby would be. That's a spot on. I feel like who's the pitcher from Major League? The guy who has like all the substances everywhere. He's got like this.
Harris. I think it was Harris.
I feel like Bobby would be like that. Like he'd have
A straight junk bowler.
Vaseline here, this, that, there.
Peanut butter.
Todaro's got some sneaky juice though. Like he can hit the shit out. Oh, sorry, hit the crap out.
Oh,
That's two.
please.
All right, Justin, just cut this.
They're making work for me. I'm not editing anything, just so everybody knows. Not
All right, I'll go through the last couple quick. Who do you? So Chase, you got who?
I got Todaro there.
Todaro, Travis.
Todaro.
I got Todaro.
Todaro.
All right, sorry, Bobby. All right. So
Just because Bobby has hair there, and it's
yeah, Bobby has there were some other pictures that I could have, but I don't think they're sanctioned by the FBI.
and so
All right,
everybody knows those are people that we work with. So
Yeah, I was gonna present it as insider, but whatever. Walk up music. So for your MLB I'm sorry, this is the wrong one.
Oh.
All right, this was the beer fight one. So if you're caught in a an after game, party and there's a fight that starts, who you got? Chan-Ho Park or Albert Bell?
Albert Bell.
With the body that's laying at his feet, mind you.
Like one of the most intimidating. What's the clip? He got hit by a pitch and refused to leave the box.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm not going. I'm not."
Yeah.
The umpire's like, "Can you please?" The umpire goes up to him. He's like, "Please, Mr. Bell, can you go to first base?"
If I could capture
we got 30 seconds.
an ounce of
30
that,
seconds. We can't go over.
just sprinkle that on any.
Nobody else is going to see it again.
Who you got, Trav?
If Chan-Ho Park launches himself off of a bar stool with that kick, absolutely. But give me Albert Bell.
Okay. What's your walk up music? Who you got for your walk up music in MLB The Show?
Man, I haven't played MLB The Show since 2014, or I've held on to that version of it all the way up until like 2019 at least. Notorious B.I.G. I can't think of a song at the moment. That's what I'd go with, I think.
I just thought of a song I would do.
I'm
What?
more of a Jay-Z guy.
It's-
Is that an option? I'd
It's
go
so,
with
so hard though. So difficult.
I'll take Tupac Hail Mary.
I'm going with DMX. One More Road to Cross.
Ooh.
I go DMX too. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Even though the Tennessee Titans came out to that song in the Super Bowl and then they ended up losing, but that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm doing.
I got you. All right, I'm gonna do these last two, and I promise I'm done. If you had somebody,
We're over already. Doesn't
okay,
matter.
my bad. That's my fault. I'll take the hit for that. So, Chase, This one's a special one for you. If you had to have a superstar play you in a movie, who you got?
No, that's easy.
I guess I gotta go with Captain America, right?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Chris
I
Pratt.
don't know. Gosling has more of your
I
features.
don't think that's Chris Pratt. But Captain,
What'd you say?
I don't know the actor's name on the right. I'm drawing a blank.
What's his name?
The guy who played.
Oh God, I forgot. I just blanked
Talking
out.
about Captain America?
Yeah, what the hell's his name?
I never knew what his name was.
Does Darby know?
It's Chris.
Yes, Judd. Whatever.
It's Chris something.
Yeah.
See? I'm all over this.
Let's call him Chris.
All right. So Travis.
George from Fantastic Four.
Beyonce would be disappointed in me.
No, please show me Jack Black and somebody else.
I went. I thought about like the way their beards came out. You know, never mind accents. We're just talking about biopic. Here we go.
I absolutely hate you.
Oh my goodness.
It's a purse, okay? Oh God.
Yo, you didn't do one for me, did you?
Nope, not yet.
Thank God.
Yo, that's Antonio Banderas, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm a big Antonio. I love the Master Zorro. But give me the Wolf Pack all day, baby.
Chase, who you got?
Give me Zach.
I'm trying to imagine Travis with a salt and pepper beard. I kind of like it, but
you can see him with the man. You can see him with the man purse, though.
I can see him with the man purse. I can see him. I can see going out with Travis and waking up and trying to retrace
with a tattoo on and sleeping with a tiger.
All of a sudden, you're friends with Mike Tyson.
And getting knocked the hell out by Mike Tyson. All right, that is all I got. You want to do the guess of the week, Justin?
Oh, I forgot all about that. Yeah, we got the that whole thing. Yeah, so let me
When you guys leave,
and I'm gonna need help from you, Travis and Chase. Travis is busy, but I'm gonna need some help. So
all right, so what I usually do is I put up a player's accomplishments, the numbers that they've worn, the teams that they played for, and he has to try to guess based on that who the player we're talking about is.
So it looks like the Phillies, the Cubs,
The White Sox,
the
Braves, the Mets.
Jeez. And he wore all those different numbers.
All those different numbers.
Okay, he was a 3-time All-Star. He won the batting title, 5-time Silver Slugger Award winner, All-Star MVP. Nah, I'm drawing up. Remember 15 for the. What era are we talking about here?
Yeah, we get hints.
80s, 90s, and 2000.
And 2000.
And these teams are the order of which, like, he played for the Phillies first.
Yes.
And the Mets. Is that the Mets at the bottom? The
Mets last. I believe he played a total of about 72 years.
And never won a World Series.
Never won a World Series. Damn, that's heartbreaking. Actually, that makes me sad, man. He
Give
played
me all,
from.
give me all the teams: Phillies, Mets, Cubs, White Sox, Yankees. I'm trying to determine.
Oh, all right. You might get so Phillies, Indians, White Sox, Brewers, Devil Rays, Braves, and Mets.
Devil Rays too.
Yep.
I'm drawing a complete blank here. 5 times.
There's like one or two things I could tell you, and you'd probably guess it, so I won't give it to you. But I'll make you work for it a little bit.
I'm working. I'm lost. I'm hoping like Trav is over there cheating for us.
That's a lot of teams.
That's a lot of teams.
But it also like doesn't really narrow it down.
You see what he does to me, guys? You see how he makes me look.
All right, so think about it like this. He actually
he had to be. Go ahead.
He was a middle infielder. Well, I take that back. He He played first, second, third, and short. Some outfield when needed.
Really narrowed it down.
He didn't pitch and he didn't catch. I'll put it to you this way: he might actually be still playing.
What?
Where?
Korea. For the Trenton Thunder or something?
He's actually on the Ascent 2024 team.
You all right? Is that's all that you got for me?
Can we narrow it down further?
Yeah. Really.
Okay, so I could. If you're a historian, you might get it. He was part of the famous Phillies 5-for-1 deal.
Oh, perfect. Because I know nothing about the Phillies.
Oh, I forgot he's an outlet. Chase might not know this, but you should know this. Oh, this was before you were born, wasn't it? You're a young guy.
Born in '91. So
my back hurts now.
Are you talking about the 5-for-1 deal? Was that the?
Come on.
Von
It's not
Hayes?
Julio, is it?
Say it, Travis.
It's not Julio Franco.
It is Julio Franco.
Julio Franco.
Oops.
That's not
Julio Franco.
Shut up. I hit the wrong button. That's Julio Franco. That's his rookie year. So
didn't Julio Franco play for the Phillies twice?
No, he only played for the Phillies once. He was part of the trade that brought Von Hayes over. It was Julio Franco, Manny Trio, and 3 other kind of no-name prospects. That was also the same year the Phillies traded Ryan Sandberg to the Cubs.
That was the year the Phillies decided.
Hey, bless up the Cubs.
Anymore, huh?
This is same like legendary pinch hitting Atlanta Braves Julio Franco.
The famous stand. Yep, you got it.
And he never came back to the. I thought he came back to the Phillies late in his career.
No, he came back to the Braves, I think, twice.
What position when his Silver Sluggers at?
He doesn't have that information. Huh?
What was the question? I didn't hear the question.
What positions? What you said? What
second
positions?
base? When he was traded to Cleveland, he was a second baseman. Then towards the later part of his career, he did some shortstop, and I think at the end he was kind of a pseudo DH first baseman.
I remember him being like a big dude later.
Yeah, he was always cut. Most home runs he hit was like maybe 12 or 16 or something like that. But I think the batting tally when he batted like 336.
Yeah, he had some
But he was to this day. I think he's playing in the Dominican Republic. I think he's like 72, and he's like their number 3 hitter.
Awesome.
So him and Ricky Henderson, probably having great conversation, drinking mojitos.
They're definitely on the same team somewhere.
That's it.
Well, guys, I'm going to take this. I'm going to remove this because I'm mad now because we talked about Julio Franco last week, and then you put him in there and just snuck him right. But I didn't.
And if you notice, I do that to you a lot. Like I'll bring up something like from the week before. I was like, oh, he's not going to remember it next week.
I wasn't going to say anything about it because I just noticed that you did that. So I wasn't, and I said if I say something, he's not going to do it anymore. So I'm going to have to watch this show 3 times to see who we talked about this week. But coaches Travis Fitter and Chase Miller, thank you so much for joining us on. We got to have you guys back on because I feel like there's so much more that we could have talked about that we didn't. That we can always talk about. And for everyone up here, good luck this weekend because I know everybody's going to be busy this weekend. Good luck to you guys. Everyone that's checking us out here on the Check Swing Podcast, I want to thank you for checking us out once again, being with us, all you baseball fans out here. Make sure you check us out every Wednesday here at 9 p.m. And you can go back to the YouTube channel and check out the broadcast anytime you want. Share it with all your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies too, because why not? Right. Make sure you follow New Twist Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at New Twist Radio. Just follow the Check Swing Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Check Swing Show. Excuse me, and make sure you subscribe to the New Twist Radio YouTube channel. All right. For Chase, Travis, Miguel, and myself, I want to thank you again for being with us, and we'll talk to y'all next time. We are out of here. Peace.